All right. Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to our music broadcast. And yes, so we're talking tongue drums today. That's the topic. And I've learned quite a bit this week and super excited from what I've learned. Let's see. So we're talking about tongue drums, what you need to know, how to purchase. Can it be tuned? Which magically I found out that they could be tuned this week. And actually, it's a little bit more versatile than I originally was aware of. So let's start with that. We're going to go through the full buying guide and those things later. But let's talk about, can it be tuned? Because I mistakenly had said, I wish, as a guitar player, you hear a note out of tune. I just naturally want to turn a tuning key. And this totally makes sense. I found this out from a friend where, similar to like any metal bar instrument, if you put more mass or more weight on it, the pitch will go down. Same thing if you have a string, right? If you have anybody plays ukulele or guitar, right? The thicker string, right, has more weight, more mass, so therefore it is lower, right? So the same exact thing can be achieved with magnets and the tongue drum. So, for instance, you can probably see on this angle. I'll put this up a little bit closer to this camera. I actually have these small magnets here. Neodymium. I don't know. I probably always mispronounce it. The really strong, dangerous magnets, and we'll talk about safety in a bit. But I'll demonstrate it right here. So if I take this magnet right off, right, and I push it off, it's no longer on the actual tongue, right? So if I hit it, just a reminder, I do stuff the tongue drum so it's not nearly as resonant, but you'll be able to hear this just fine. So if I move it closer to the center, you're going to hear, right, clearly went down and then went back up. So you can actually get a full half step, a semitone, whatever you want to think about it. So if you have, C note can go down to B. And that's extremely good, because if you were watching the original video that we ended up doing, we talked about how the tongue drum for the most part is tuned, or this one particularly, about 10 cents either way. Some is as sharp as 12 cents and some is flat as a couple of cents. And this basically mitigates the problem where you can hear, right? It's certainly more in tune, and especially this right here. So 7, high T, and that one much better, and you can even hear the octaves are much closer. Let me do a demonstration without those. I'm very confused. That should sound worse. But yeah, much more in tune now, which is nice. So let's talk about some other things. So first off, safety warnings. There's a reason why these magnets are no longer allowed as children's toys, because children will play with magnets. Even if you trust the child to the ends of the earth, there's a good chance that they're going to put the magnets in their mouth. Again, just playing around with them. And if these are swallowed, they are extremely, extremely dangerous. Feel free to look it up. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about a trip to the hospital, a surgery, and hopefully something that doesn't end up resulting in serious long-term injury and or possibly death. So my advice is, if you really were interested in this, you could put them on the inside if you had a child. I would never, with these magnets, even have the tongue drum unattended, just because, again, kids play with magnets and it's extremely dangerous. So that's the safety warning out there. I would not use it. For instance, I would not use this in my classroom at all with the magnets, unless it was inside and, obviously it was monitored. But, if the kids were playing it, it's easy enough to pick one of these off. Next thing you know, you have 2 of them, you're playing around with them. So long story short, please be safe with these magnets. Don't leave them around children. Even though I trust my child not to put anything in his mouth, I'm not trusting these magnets because they are such a major issue. So, so quick tutorial. It's quite simple. You can get a full semitone So we'll go on this one right here. Let's see what would be a good one. So here's the magnet off. So we can that is I'm going to call it La. And then if we move it up, right, slightly more flat, more to the center. And all of a sudden you can hear it's about a half step down. And of course we get it even closer to the edge of the tongue drum. Right, you can hear it's even more flat. And of course we can bring it sort of in the center, but not quite. And then, right. So you have a considerable amount of versatility with your tuning all of a sudden, which is nice because it was something that I didn't think had any versatility in tuning. I'm not going to lie. I was thinking maybe I could take a Sawzall to this and extend the tongues. It's a much simpler solution though, right? So let's talk about some different possibilities, right? So all of a sudden now, if you have a diatonic tongue drum, right? And diatonic just meaning in the scale, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to call that 1, right? It doesn't just have to be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, sol, la, ti, do. You could actually, if you wanted to, you could change this, the third scale note to a minor third. So all of a sudden you can have. So all of a sudden I'm playing a minor third, right? Do, me, so, me, do. Which is great because if you wanted to play Smoke on the Water, and before there was no other way to play Smoke on the Water before these magnets, right? We could certainly change. We can have do, mi, so. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Moving this one flat. So we're going to have 1, 3 is going to be flat, flat 3. 4 is going to be as it normally read, do, me, fa. And then we need a well, we'll call it say, right? So do, me, fa, do, me, say, fa, bum, 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 bum. Right. That's the example I'm using, but you could see that you clearly get a considerable amount more versatility where you can basically bring any note down a half a step. Okay, let's see, where are we? Chromatic alterations. The other thing is, I am not, so let's talk about Hertz adjustments. Some people are really into 432 hertz. I am not super into 432 hertz. I think that 440 is just okay with me. However, if you wanted to take any tongue drum that was maybe a bit higher than you would like, you could absolutely move these up and do that alteration yourself. You certainly have enough ability to do that. Also, if you add more magnets on there, it adds more weight and this and that, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's that, right? Pretty solid. Let's talk about a general idea in terms of a buying guide, because it is very difficult when you first go to purchase a tongue drum, even if you have a college music degree and you've been teaching public school music for 10 years and you know all the terms. It is extremely difficult to purchase one of these because not all the information is always correct, and a lot of the information is certainly confusing, because I don't think a lot of these companies are coming necessarily from a musical perspective. So let's just kind of talk about what options that you end up having when you're purchasing a tongue drum, what you may see in the whether it's on Amazon or even like Sweetwater, and we'll talk about that at the end. All right, so you have sizes. Obviously, there's sizes other than 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches. This one is a 12-inch one, which obviously the bigger the size, the more ability to have the pitch lower, right? Bigger the instrument, the lower the pitch. Typically, with any of the 6-inch ones, that's where you're going to see it usually be considerably higher, and also mainly only have 6 tongues. I would say probably 12 inches is where you want to probably get the largest one you can for the money. That would be my guess. If you have any other experiences, please let me know. If you have an 8-inch drum, then say, hey, it's absolutely fantastic. The intonation is great. The resonance is great, but the resonance on this one is excellent, right? So those are the sizes that are typically available. And again, all size means is the physical size of the drum itself. All right, so let's talk about the number of tongues. So the number of notes. How many notes can you play? And I'm just going to pull this up here. Add this to the stream. All right, so check this out. Here's a little chart going on, and actually, these are actual drums available on Amazon. I have not played any of these, so I cannot speak to their quality or their ability. Oops, sorry. Oh, there we go. All right. So hold on. Let me just grab. So we're talking about numbers of tongues. So the drum that I've been using, the drum that I purchased, is an 11-tongue drum, which means it has 11 notes, right? So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 notes, right? Why did I choose 11 notes? It seemed like a good number. It seemed like a fairly popular number, right? So we have, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 notes. Typically, these are going to get you your diatonic scale. So all of a sudden, you would have, if we were using solfege pitches, it would be sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which is going to allow you to play a significant amount of music, which is good. So if you're, pretty much any children's song you should be able to play. Anything just that isn't heavily chromatic or using lots of different notes, you should be able to play that. That's the one that I went with, and you can see on the chart also the only ones that it doesn't have in comparison. Let me make sure I'm sure on that. In comparison to the other drums, is an extra high re and an extra high mi. So, but none of the drums that I have seen have any sort of chromatic ability, except for obviously we sort of adjusted that with the magnets. So you have the 11-note drum. So that's what this currently is. Then you'll also see other ones listed as, pull it up, right? Your 8-tongue. So that's going to have 8 notes available on it. This is going to change not just the notes, but also the way that the tongue drum is set up. As you can kind of see, where the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5 is a little bit different. And we'll talk quickly about why I also like the setup of the 11-note drum. But with an 8-note drum, as you can kind of see in the left-hand column, right, you get do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do, right? One scale, which can play a lot of music, but there's a lot of songs that would end up going so, la, ti, do, or so, do, mi, so, right? So, do. It's an extremely popular interval. I have zero doubt if I only had an 8-note tongue drum, I would, without a doubt, find it irritating if I didn't have a low so. Now, as far as the resonance and the qualities on that, you could certainly argue that because having something in the middle may not be the best note, but again, that's sort of depends on the drum. All right. But on, so there's also a 13-note drum. Now, I don't have any experience with the 13-note drum. All this is giving you is basically everything that the 11-note has, and it's going to also give you basically, so I'll show you the notes that it will give. So you would have low so, then la, then ti, then do, then re, then mi, then fa, then so, then la, ti, do. And then you would also get re, mi. Right, those notes are on there. Is it better to have? Absolutely. They tend to, at least from what I've seen, be a little bit more expensive. And I also don't like the actual physical setup of the 11-note drum nearly as much. And so let's talk about the actual. Here, let me see if I can solo. Sorry, learning all this stuff. Oop, so if I go solo layout. All right, should still be able to hear me. So one thing I really like about the 11-note is it's very intuitive to be able to play. Also for children, it really helps with basically having the right and the left and the right and the left and the right and the left and the right and the left. It's a little bit easier to set that up because you have One's over here, two's over here, three's next, four's next, five's next, six is next, seven's next. There's the one, and then to me, it is a significantly more intuitive way to play. Again, people may differ. If I spent a little bit more time with the other setups, I might sort of understand what was going for. But instantly, I picked up an 11-note drum, and right, certainly not a problem. And the other nice thing is if you're doing chords and things like that, right? And this is a great thing to either teach students, whether it's musically or just counting in general, is skipping, right? So if we're on this side, 1, then you skip 1, 3, 5, which ends up forming a nice little chord. And then you can hop over to 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, or re, fa, la. Right on this side. And I think that that's a really, 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 really good benefit. Exit solo layout. I'll be back. So definitely I think a major advantage. And then finally, the other common one that you will get, and these are super common. So what's known as so typically it's an 8-note, but it's an 8-note pentatonic. Penta meaning 5, and I know what you're maybe saying, well, 5 notes, but 8, right? But the answer on that is a pentatonic is a 5-note scale. So with this, you would only have do, re, mi, sol, la, and then you would have do, along with a low so and a low la, right? So what we're basically getting rid of is we don't have fa, when we don't have T, either of these T's. And these work really well for improvisation. Pentatonic scale is always good, although these diatonic ones work really well as well. And yeah, so I mean, you could play like something like Rain, Rain, Go Away, right? Rain, rain, go away, come again another day, right? So la, so la, so la. So me, so me, so me, la, so me. I apologize. Right now, I've just gotten a B on some intro to sight singing course. I apologize. But yeah, without fa, for instance, a song as simple as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, right? I'll give numbers. 1, 1, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 4, which doesn't exist on a pentatonic. 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. So the pentatonic one could certainly be cool. I probably wouldn't end up using it, but that's basically it. You have 8 tongues, 11 tongues, 13 tongues, and I would recommend, this is just what I would recommend. It's the one I went with. It's the one that to me is the most intuitive. An 11-tongue diatonic one. So we got a couple more things to talk about. And eventually, yeah, I'm going to turn these into a couple of more long format videos instead of doing the live stream. So here, all right, we're going to move that from the stream. All right, so we got that. And we talked scale, pentatonic or diatonic, which is the major scale or other. There's lots of different scales that will be sometimes used with these different Eastern scales and things like that. Pentatonics are really fun to mess around with. If you just want something to kind of zen yourself out, go with the pentatonic. It's a fun time. Diatonic will give you the most amount of songs that you can play. And the other scales can also just be fun to kind of just zen out and explore with. Although with the magnets, you could probably achieve a lot of that on your own. But yeah, I would recommend diatonic major scale if you're looking to play any songs, if you're looking to do any music education, if you're looking to play with your child and teach them music. Again, this is what I use with my son. But yeah, that definitely works out well. And then also you're going to have another thing. So again, I told you this is a pretty confusing zone. So you have something called key. So what is key? And basically that just means this one is pitched in D. So granted, I'm using a movable do, and I'm going do, re, mi, fa, so fa, mi, re, do. In other countries, they would probably they would use like fixed do, like in Italy. Typically, when you say do, that means C, which does not exist on this this tongue drum. Oh, correction. Nope, not quite. All right. So yeah, this one is pitched in D. A lot of times they'll be pitched in C. You'll see other ones that are pitched in G and other ones. If it's for music education with a child, I would highly recommend either C or D. D probably being the best compromise, just because this low so is definitely a little bit low, or in this case, so that would be their range. Again, my falsetto, it ain't great. Sorry, but having a D drum probably has a little bit of a compromise where the lowest notes aren't too low, the high notes aren't too high. It's a nice compromise. That's why I went with this one. C is perfectly fine. It definitely works. And it'll just be, everything will be a little bit lower in pitch. Any of the other ones, I don't know if I would use it if I were looking to doing a significant amount of singing with it. But yeah, those are your options. I would recommend D. Again, this one is in D. As far as colors and finish, yeah, there's a lot of different ones available. They all look really, really, really cool. Some look super smooth. This one has a mild matte finish, which I think looks pretty good. I see some are especially rough. My only concern about a really rough finish, and again, maybe it just looks rough, but if you are planning on using the magnets, I would prefer not to have. I would prefer a more smoother surface for the magnet to adhere to, right? So that's that. Obviously, you could choose your color. Let's see, where else are we at? All right. And so last thing we're going to talk about is brands. Last time we talked about, it seems like things on Amazon look like the same product from different companies. The companies are not companies that we've heard of. Oh, by the way, I found I found out the name of this one. It's a Smow top, and this company makes fine tongue drums, and they also make I don't know, like heated sauna blankets and various farm animal milking machines, but like inexpensive ones. So again, did I get this from a trusted company? No, right? I said, hey, I'm going to take a shot on Amazon and see, and I'm pretty happy with it. Most of those brands seem fairly similar from what I've been seeing. Lamudi seems to be the one that seems to be winning the race right now. I haven't played any of their drums. I would be interested to at some point just to see if there's a significant difference. But those are about $50 more than this one, $60 more than this one. And again, my thing on Amazon for something that I'm just looking to mess around with is, let me try to get one that's got 4+ stars and yeah, and basically, not the cheapest, but something that's fairly inexpensive. And we do have. Let me put this up, and we'll kind of see this. And the one reason I've definitely went with an Amazon brand is because if you can see the Sweetwater, which if you're not familiar with Sweetwater.com, Sweetwater is one of the biggest online retailers of musical instruments in the world. So they have some pearl ones, which you can see are like between $300 and $400. I am not interested enough in the tongue drum currently to be purchasing one for $300-400. I am sure because they're from Pearl, they are probably fantastic instruments. They're probably a little bit more expensive than they probably need to be, but they look fantastic. And then also Meinl has some smaller ones, and Meinl is another percussion company that people have certainly heard of and have been around for years. But yeah, if you have any questions, I mean, that's basically it. What we're talking about today. And yeah, I'm having a. Don't let me remove my from the conversation. I'm having like I said, a really fun time doing this. And yeah, I'll end up putting out some tutorial stuff. And if you have any questions, just leave them, because your questions are extremely helpful for me trying to figure out what kind of videos to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. So any questions about the video, any questions about the magnets, any questions about the when you should get, just drop a line in the comments, and yeah, we'll talk about it. All right. Thanks everyone. All right. See you later.